For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On June 5, 1998, Marcus Lindgren, 28, disappeared just 3 days before his wedding to longtime girlfriend Anna Eriksson in the Swedish town of Västerås. The engineering student had left his apartment to run errands for their upcoming ceremony when he vanished without a trace, leaving behind his car, wallet, and all wedding preparations. Local police conducted searches throughout the region, while Anna and both families struggled to understand what had happened to the devoted fiancé. For 8 years, his disappearance remained a heartbreaking mystery that devastated Anna and prevented her from moving forward with her life. Then, in July 2006, Anna made a shocking discovery on social media that would finally provide answers about Marcus's fate and reveal the extraordinary circumstances that had kept him hidden for nearly a decade. This is the complete story of his vanishing and the digital revelation that exposed the truth about what happened during those final days before their planned wedding. June 5, 1998, began with excitement and nervous energy in the small Swedish town of Västerås, where Marcus Lindgren and Anna Eriksson were making final preparations for their wedding scheduled for June 8. The couple had been together for 5 years, having met during their university studies at Mälardalen University, where both were pursuing engineering degrees. Marcus was known among friends and family as a reliable and methodical person who approached everything in his life with careful planning and attention to detail. Their wedding was no exception. He had spent months organizing logistics, coordinating with vendors, and ensuring that every aspect of their ceremony would proceed smoothly. Anna worked as a civil engineer for the municipal government, while Marcus was completing his final semester of mechanical engineering studies. They had purchased a small apartment together in Västerås and were planning to start a family after establishing their careers in Sweden's growing technology sector. The couple's relationship was considered ideal by everyone who knew them. They shared similar interests in outdoor activities, had compatible personalities, and had never experienced the kind of serious conflicts that sometimes plagued couples approaching marriage. Their families had become close friends and were eagerly anticipating the wedding celebration. On the morning of June 5, Marcus had a detailed list of final errands to complete before the weekend ceremony. These included picking up his formal wear from alterations, collecting the wedding rings from the jeweler, and purchasing last-minute items for their honeymoon trip to Norway that was scheduled to begin immediately after the wedding. Anna later told investigators that Marcus seemed particularly excited and happy that morning, discussing their plans for married life and expressing gratitude for the support they had received from family and friends. He had kissed her goodbye around 10:30 a.m., promising to return by 2 p.m. so they could review final arrangements together. The couple's apartment was located in central Västerås, within walking distance of most of the businesses where Marcus needed to complete his errands. He had left his car parked outside their building, planning to walk to his various destinations and enjoy the pleasant June weather during what he expected to be his final day as a bachelor. Marcus's first stop was Svensson Tailoring, where his wedding suit had been altered to ensure a perfect fit. Shop owner Gustav Svensson later remembered the visit clearly because of Marcus's obvious happiness and excitement about his upcoming wedding. Svensson recalled that Marcus had tried on the suit one final time and had seemed completely satisfied with the results. From the tailor shop, Marcus walked to Västerås Jewelry, where he collected the gold wedding bands that he and Anna had selected 3 months earlier. Jeweler Margareta Olsson remembered him examining the rings carefully and expressing his satisfaction with the engraving they had requested, their names and wedding date inscribed inside each band. The last confirmed sighting of Marcus came around 12:15 p.m. when he was seen leaving the jewelry store carrying a small package containing the wedding rings. Witnesses reported that he appeared happy and relaxed, showing no signs of distress or concern as he walked toward the city center. When Marcus failed to return to their apartment by 3 p.m., Anna initially assumed he had encountered delays or had decided to complete additional errands. However, as afternoon progressed into evening without any contact, she became increasingly concerned about his uncharacteristic absence and failure to call. By 6 p.m., Anna had contacted Marcus's parents and closest friends to ask if they had seen or heard from him. None had any information about his whereabouts, and all expressed surprise that he would disappear during such an important time without explanation or communication. Anna's first call to the Västerås police came at 8:30 p.m., when she reported her fiancé missing just 3 days before their wedding. The desk sergeant initially suggested that pre-wedding stress might have caused Marcus to need some time alone, but Anna insisted that such behavior would be completely out of character. The initial police response was limited due to standard procedures requiring 24 hours before formal missing person investigations began. However, Detective Inspector Lars Anderson agreed to take a preliminary report and began basic inquiries about Marcus's planned activities and recent behavior. The investigation began in earnest on June 6 when Marcus's continued absence confirmed that something serious had occurred. Detective Anderson organized systematic searches of Marcus's known route and interviewed business owners and residents who might have seen him during his final errands. The investigation quickly established that Marcus had successfully completed most of his planned errands, collecting his wedding suit and rings as scheduled. However, his movements after leaving the jewelry store remained a mystery, as no witnesses could confirm seeing him beyond that point. Marcus's abandoned car was found exactly where he had parked it outside their apartment building, with no signs of disturbance or evidence that he had returned to retrieve it. His apartment keys, identification documents, and credit cards were all missing, suggesting he had them with him when he disappeared. More puzzling was the discovery that Marcus's final errand, purchasing honeymoon supplies at an outdoor equipment store, had never been completed. Store employees confirmed that he had never arrived for his scheduled 1 p.m. appointment to pick up camping gear they had ordered for his Norwegian honeymoon. Detective Anderson's investigation examined Marcus's personal relationships and financial situation for any indication of problems that might explain his disappearance. Interviews with family, friends, and university colleagues revealed no conflicts, debts, or circumstances that might motivate him to disappear voluntarily. The possibility of accidents or medical emergencies was investigated, with teams searching parks, waterways, and hospital records throughout the region. However, no evidence of injury or medical crisis was discovered despite comprehensive searches of likely locations. As days passed without breakthrough evidence, the investigation expanded to consider criminal activity or abduction scenarios. However, no ransom demands were received, and Marcus had no known enemies or involvement in activities that might make him a target for violence. The wedding, scheduled for June 8, was postponed indefinitely as families struggled with the devastating uncertainty about Marcus's fate. The church, reception venue, and all vendors were notified, while wedding gifts were returned and guests were informed about the tragic circumstances. Anna found herself in the surreal position of grieving for her missing fiancé while unable to accept that he might be dead. The uncertainty was emotionally devastating, preventing her from processing her loss or moving forward with her life while always hoping he might somehow return. The case generated significant media attention throughout Sweden, as the story of a groom vanishing just before his wedding captured public sympathy and concern. Tips and reported sightings came from across the country, though none provided concrete evidence about Marcus's whereabouts. Professional search teams and volunteer groups conducted extensive searches of forests, lakes, and remote areas throughout central Sweden. The searches continued sporadically for months, though the vast scale of potential search areas made comprehensive coverage impossible. Throughout 1999 and the early 2000s, Anna maintained hope that Marcus might be found alive, while also trying to rebuild her life around the possibility that he might never return. She kept their apartment exactly as it had been, including his wedding suit hanging in their closet. The case remained active with periodic reviews and investigation of new tips, but no concrete evidence emerged about Marcus's fate. Advanced investigative techniques became available during the early 2000s, but without physical evidence or credible witnesses, these technologies couldn't provide insights into the case. In 2003, human remains found in a forest area initially raised hopes for resolution, but forensic analysis determined they belonged to someone else and were unrelated to Marcus's disappearance. Such discoveries occasionally renewed attention to the case but didn't provide the answers Anna desperately sought. By 2005, 7 years after Marcus's disappearance, Anna had begun the difficult process of accepting that he was probably dead and that she needed to find ways to move forward with her life. However, she continued to maintain their apartment and refused to officially declare him deceased. July 12, 2006, began as an ordinary summer day for Anna, who had learned to cope with her loss by maintaining routines and focusing on her engineering career. She had joined Instagram when the platform became popular in Sweden, initially using it to share photographs of her hiking trips and engineering projects. That evening, while browsing Instagram posts tagged with locations throughout Sweden, Anna encountered something that made her heart stop. A user named @Nordic_wander had posted a photograph from a remote hiking area in northern Sweden with the caption, "Beautiful sunset from our base camp. Grateful for this simple life away from everything." The photograph showed a campsite with a tent and outdoor equipment, but what caught Anna's attention was a man visible in the background of the image. Despite the distant shot and 8 years of aging, she immediately recognized facial features and posture that she had known intimately for 5 years. Anna examined the photograph obsessively, comparing it to pictures of Marcus she had kept from their time together. While the man in the image had longer hair and a beard, his distinctive jawline, the way he stood, and other physical characteristics matched her missing fiancé with startling accuracy. Further investigation of the @Nordic_wander account revealed a series of posts dating back several months, all featuring wilderness camping and hiking in remote areas of northern Sweden. While the posts never showed clear facial views, they consistently featured the same individual living what appeared to be a completely off-grid lifestyle. Anna immediately contacted Detective Anderson, who had remained assigned to Marcus's case throughout the 8-year investigation. The detective agreed to examine the Instagram posts and coordinate with social media investigators to trace the account's origin and gather additional information. The Instagram investigation revealed that the @Nordic_wander account had been created using anonymous registration methods, but digital forensic specialists were able to trace posting patterns and metadata that suggested the user was indeed living in remote areas of northern Sweden. More detailed analysis of the photographs revealed equipment and camping gear that matched descriptions of items Marcus had purchased for outdoor activities during their relationship. Several images showed camping equipment that Anna recognized as identical to gear Marcus had owned before his disappearance. Detective Anderson coordinated with police units in northern Sweden to investigate the remote areas featured in the Instagram posts. The terrain was challenging and sparsely populated, requiring specialized teams familiar with wilderness operations to conduct systematic searches. The breakthrough came when investigators located a semi-permanent campsite in Lapland that matched the location and setup shown in several Instagram posts. The site showed evidence of long-term occupation by someone living completely off the grid, with sophisticated shelters and equipment indicating survival skills and extensive outdoor experience. Personal items found at the campsite included identification documents and personal belongings that definitively confirmed the site belonged to Marcus Lindgren. The discovery proved that Anna's Instagram identification had been accurate and that her missing fiancé was indeed alive after 8 years. The confrontation with Marcus occurred when investigators approached his remote campsite during a coordinated operation designed to ensure his safety and gather information about his 8-year disappearance. Initially wary of contact with authorities, Marcus eventually agreed to explain his extraordinary decision to disappear just before his wedding. According to his account, Marcus had experienced a severe panic attack on June 5, 1998, while walking through Västerås after collecting his wedding rings. The attack had been triggered by overwhelming anxiety about marriage, adult responsibilities, and fears that he was not ready for the commitment he had promised to Anna. In his panicked state, Marcus had made the impulsive decision to leave Västerås immediately, using cash he had with him to purchase basic supplies and hitchhike to northern Sweden. What began as a temporary escape had gradually evolved into a permanent, off-grid lifestyle as he found peace in wilderness solitude. Marcus explained that he had initially planned to return after a few days but had become paralyzed by shame about abandoning Anna and their wedding. As time passed, the prospect of explaining his disappearance became increasingly daunting, leading him to remain hidden rather than face the consequences of his actions. The Instagram account had been his only connection to the outside world, a way to document his wilderness life while maintaining complete anonymity. He had never intended for his posts to be discovered by anyone who knew him, and was shocked to learn that Anna had identified him through the platform. The reunion between Anna and Marcus was emotionally complex, combining relief at finally having answers with anger and hurt about 8 years of unnecessary suffering. Anna struggled to understand how the man she had planned to marry could have chosen to disappear rather than communicate his fears and concerns. Marcus expressed deep remorse for his actions and acknowledged the devastating impact his disappearance had caused for Anna, both families, and the community that had searched for him. He accepted full responsibility for his decision and its consequences, though he struggled to explain the mental state that had led to such extreme actions. The case resolution generated significant media attention throughout Sweden, as the story of a man living off-grid for 8 years to avoid his wedding captured public fascination and debate about mental health, commitment anxiety, and the responsibilities people have to those who love them. Legal consequences for Marcus were limited, as his disappearance had been voluntary and he had not committed crimes beyond potentially filing false information during his wilderness years. However, the emotional and psychological consequences for all involved would require extensive counseling and time to process. Anna ultimately decided that too much time had passed and too much trust had been broken for their relationship to be restored. While grateful to finally have answers and closure, she chose to move forward with her life independently rather than attempt to rebuild what had been lost. The story of Marcus Lindgren and Anna Eriksson serves as both a cautionary tale about communication in relationships and a reminder of how modern technology can unexpectedly resolve even the most mysterious disappearances. Marcus's 8-year wilderness retreat highlighted the extreme lengths some people will go to avoid confronting their fears. The case demonstrated how social media platforms could serve as inadvertent tools for solving missing persons cases, with Anna's accidental discovery of Marcus's Instagram posts providing the breakthrough that years of traditional investigation couldn't achieve. For Swedish law enforcement, the case provided lessons about the importance of considering voluntary disappearance scenarios and the need for ongoing investigation of missing persons cases even when traditional leads have been exhausted. The persistence of Detective Anderson in maintaining the case as active contributed to the eventual resolution when Anna brought forward her Instagram discovery. His willingness to pursue digital evidence demonstrated the evolution of investigative techniques in the social media age. The case highlighted broader issues about mental health, anxiety, and the pressure people feel about major life commitments. Marcus's extreme response to pre-wedding anxiety became a discussion point about the importance of communication and professional help for those struggling with life transitions. Wilderness survival and off-grid living communities were fascinated by Marcus's ability to sustain himself in remote northern Sweden for 8 years, though his story also highlighted the social responsibilities that such isolation can ignore and the pain it can cause others. As of 2006, new protocols encourage missing persons investigators to monitor social media platforms for potential evidence, recognizing that digital footprints can provide unexpected breakthroughs in cases that seem unsolvable through traditional methods. The case ultimately demonstrates how personal fears and poor communication can have devastating consequences that extend far beyond the individual making difficult decisions, while also showing how modern technology can sometimes provide answers to even the most perplexing human mysteries.